CMD. Yeah. I must be a bodybuilder. I constantly raise bars on a soul search, so I like to chill in graveyards. They're amazed with my art, like Scandinavian designs. No wonder I stay buzzed, my fucking brain is a beehive. So I've been showing you my true face. It's not good to be two-faced. You shouldn't pack your emotional baggage in a suitcase. This isn't good for your health. You gotta find your real self. Sometimes you gotta feel hell in order for you to feel well. Define it when the dice rolled, no odds in our favor. We obviously lost, gosh, now we all gotta pay up. Instead we hit the NOS launch, dodge all of the haters. Now there's no one who could stop us. There's nobody to save us. Okay, I prayed and debated, negated, facing creation. All my crazy emotions stirring up my imagination. Like I've had it on the daily, I've been slowly losing patience. Trying to break another aching pain, I don't think I could take it. I've been losing who I am, and from my brain I feel I'm fading. Like half of me left and it's on the other side waiting. Doing what I can, I'm in the game, I'm still remaining. I'm finna kill the shit as long as I'm still aiming. They x-rayed my brain, but I think that they were scammers, cause they tried to say that my skull was full of bananas. Why would I trust anyone wearing pajamas? I don't believe the doctors, I'd rather believe in Santa. I'm like, goddamn man, wait, what am I saying? Always get in the wrong lane and I've done it again. I'm like, goddamn man, wait, where's my passion? It's in the other lane and it's crashing. Goddamn man, wait, what am I saying? Always get in the wrong lane and I've done it again. I'm like, goddamn man, wait, where's my passion? It's in the other lane and it's crashing. I swear that I'ma ride this till the wheels fall off. These people say I'm fighting for what is a lost cause. All I know is when I'm writing, I'm putting down dope bars. Then I'm pulling out the mic and spitting them so hard. Shit, I might as well just drop it and walk off. I'm leaving the jaws locked. Spitting like a faucet, God, I'm covered in hot sauce. As I'm exploding in her mouth, that bitch called me a pop rock. Shit, I'm the real prince. All you motherfuckers are just all frogs. You're all frogs. I'm the real prince. All you motherfuckers are just all frogs.
What's up, guys? Don't worry, you're not frogs. I love all you guys, and I'm happy you're here. So happy to be here. Tonight is going to be a great show. It's going to be fantastic. Thank you for coming tonight. Wombat, Angie, Chris. Good to see you, Piper. Everybody in the chat. Iris, Edis, Annie. Good to see you guys. Y'all all frogs. Oh, tonight's a fantastic episode. Tonight we're getting into one of the topics that I just love to get into, and that's addiction, recovery, alcoholism, and looking on the other side of that and creative ways to cope and to handle life. And for those of you that don't know, Grow Baby Grow is a new channel focusing on plants and nature and all of that good green stuff. So everybody, a warm welcome. If you don't know, she's also a mod on my channel, Amber. So let's give her a warm welcome and let's get down and talk addiction, recovery, and plants. Hey, Amber.
Hello. Welcome to the plant room. You know.
It looks, oh wait, this, you guys, look at her setup. Doesn't that look just fantastic?
These are my babies. These are some of my babies, you know, and I like to give them kisses sometimes. They don't really kiss me back, but that's fine. They also don't have COVID. So
that's good. Yeah, no COVID, that's good. I was so amazed that you were like, plants could help in recovery. I'm like, what? Like, yeah. So how did you find that out? Like,
well, I was researching for my own channel. Like, I know how plants help me become a better person and improve a lot of the aspects of my life. But I wanted to find a way that I could tell other people about it in like a concise manner. So I did a lot of research. And one of the things I read was about recovery. And it was like just one paragraph. And then it made me think that like I could talk to you about it and turn you into a plant person.
I want to be a plant person.
I try to convert a lot of people. So
I talk the big game, like I love it, but I can barely take care. I don't know if I could take care of a plant. I hope I would be able to.
Well, one thing about plants is like not everybody has to be a farmer. You know, in order to save the world, the world just doesn't need farmers. You know, the world needs lawyers and activists and nurses, they need builders, they need everything and all in between. So not everybody has to be able to grow perfect houseplants in order to help the world be a better place. Not everybody has to grow enough food for the entire world to make it a better place, and you don't even have to have plants in your home. A lot of people struggle with keeping plants in their home, which is only natural because most of the plants that you see here and everywhere are actually tropical and they're grown in greenhouses all their life. And so when you bring them in, especially to like an American household, it's not going to perform its best unless you give it, additional resources, which a lot of people don't have, grow lights and things like that. So you can be a plant person without having any plants in your house. Once you develop a relationship with plants are everywhere. They're on every surface of the planet. And so like once you learn about plants, then it's a hobby and a pastime and something you can be passionate about wherever you go. Like when I walk outside, like I like weeds just as much as I like philodendron. So I know like all the weeds in my neighborhood, whichever neighborhood I live in. And just, growth is growth. So
Yeah, that's
it's kind of the thing that you don't need a lot of stuff to carry with you. It's not like you need a basketball or it has to be sunny outside. It's something that's always with you, and it kind of becomes a part of you.
yeah. Do you think that there's a plant for everybody? Like they do different
Um,
things to different people or something?
yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's a plan for everyone, but I could probably teach just about anybody how to grow pretty much any plant. And one thing that happened by accident is the more that I learned about plants, the more I learned about myself and the more I learned about people. So I wouldn't say I'm a people person, I like to go places where there are no people as often as possible because I don't know, I just like the earth is my sanctuary. Some people go to church, or some people go to their mother's house and that's where they feel really safe. But, I like being in the forest and I just feel protected while I'm in the forest. And so I like the input of the forest. I like the input of the sounds of the stream and the sound of the leaves and the sound of the insects and the birds and animals. And so that's what I'm into. But learning about plants, if you can learn how to grow a plant, then you can learn how to grow a person. So we're not that different if you think about it. And that's one problem that I think people have with growing plants is like you see a plant and it's like separate from you, and you think of it as separate from you. But if you kind of open your mind and you understand that we are all living organisms on the same planet. So we're a much a part of nature as this plant is a part of nature. So we are connected to the
Yeah.
planet, you know,
Hmm.
and the difference is that we move around and, we have, well, some plants move around too. So they get around.
Yeah. They're
Some
just
of
like
them more than
humans.
others. Yeah,
Just like humans, we're so different from each other. Same with plants.
yeah,
So many
plants are the
different
same.
types.
They just all need different things. Some people like the city, some plants like to grow on trees.
Right.
Some plants are made for sunshine, some plants are made for shade, and they're a lot like people.
Right. So how can plants help you in the recovery process? How can they
Okay,
help to aid you in the recovery
well,
process?
there's many ways that they can affect the recovery process, but one thing that I like to show people is this is called it's like in the middle I have wellness, and then around it it's called a Venn diagram. And so where they meet is where they overlap and have
Okay.
similar things. And so environment is only one. So if you just grew plants, maybe you would think it's only going to affect the environment. but it's going to affect you. Gardening specifically is going to improve physically. It's going to increase your social circle and help you gain more support, which a lot of people that are going through recovery, or like me personally, when I had an accident and it completely changed my life, I felt like I couldn't relate to the world anymore, you know, and I lost those traditional support systems. And then I felt a disconnect. And gardening and plants helps you connect with basically anybody. You know, you can be walking down the street and see somebody's yard and say, wow, where did you get that? Or how do you do that? You know, and it opens up doors that would have remained closed maybe your whole life. And you'll meet people that you never thought possible, or like some people have difficulty opening up, you know, or like talking to strangers. And I have the opposite, but um, it's a common ground, that a common space that you guys can share, a common habit, you know, and it's a healthy habit. And it also affects you physically, psychologically, and even economically. So these are some of the parameters of wellness. It's not just like your health and the condition of your arteries, you know, these, you need all of these things in order to be well. And gardening and plants can help you in all aspects of your life if you let
So, in that Venn
it.
diagram there, what kind of topics are all
There's
there? Wellness
there's
in the middle, but
yeah,
what's the
there's
rest?
there's physical, and so by gardening, it's helpful in like a recovery rehab setting, like a traditional medical rehab. So after people get out of surgery, after they've had accidents like I did, after you go through addiction, you know, after you suffer a stroke, after you maybe you had a surgery, you can't lift your arm. And so if you go to physical therapy, they'll help you move like your major muscle groups. But gardening, just bending over and grabbing things and twisting, is moving in a more passive way. It's still increasing your range of motion just by making simple, repetitive things. So that's physical. And then we talked about social environment. Obviously, you're going to have a good impact if you follow. I studied permaculture, which
Hmm.
is a
Yeah,
way
what's
to treat
permaculture?
gardening. Well, it's a way to treat gardening in a sustainable way, and it's using less inputs, artificial inputs, and kind of using like what you have here today, and how can you use what you have to, and what you have on your land in a way that will yield the most nutrient dense food, and you become like a steward of land. And that's another thing that gardening helps you have a space, and it helps you maintain your space. And then you can, once you get your space the way you want it, then you can kind of branch out, and it helps build communities, you know?
Wow, that is super interesting. Permaculture.
Yeah,
That sounds pretty important for the world.
it is. And it's popular in a lot of other, it's becoming more popular here, but a lot of other cultures already do it like this, you know? And then in America, you know, after the Industrial Revolution, people stopped farming as much, you know, and now you can just go to Walmart and grab some eggs, or grab, you know, whatever food you want. You can get strawberries all year, even if they're not in season. And so we kind of lost those skills that are actually still really important. And we're kind of taught like things are given to us. It's just way easy to do pretty much anything in America, you know, as a first world country. And permaculture is a way to get back your relationship with the earth and be responsible, practice responsible gardening, and make the world a better place, really, you know, without any of the chemicals. Um, so I knew how, like, I have my own worm farm, I have my own compost. And so pretty much I throw away less, you know, and I have my own, I don't go out and buy dirt. I make my own soil, even for my house plants. And it reduces your impact on the earth.
Yeah, I wish that I hope I learned something like that in the future. I know.
Yeah, and the more you become able to grow your own food, the the, um, less you will have to rely on the institutions that are present. And so it's easier to get out of poverty if we all grew our own food. You know what I mean? Or if we all had community gardens and we all helped each other. Like maybe you didn't know how to grow tomatoes, but you were really good at growing onions. Well, people used to barter, and that's how
Right.
we got the things we wanted before
Yeah.
money came along. You know what I mean? So,
Mhm.
and I thought today there have been some studies, but I'm not going to go like into all the sciencey stuff. But specifically, there was a study that people that were in a natural recovery program, they had half the participants participate. Like everybody heard of art therapy, right? Most people have heard of art therapy, and most people find art as a creative outlet. But not a lot of people think of gardening as a creative outlet.
Yeah,
And
that's
it
true. I've
is
never
creative,
thought of
you
it.
know,
Yeah.
and like where you decide to put your plants and what colors you decide to grow and how you decide to arrange them, it is a creative outlet. And so the half of the participants were in art therapy and half the participants were in horticultural therapy, which should be more, but we're getting there, and it's part of that's why I'm doing this is to help spread awareness that America is so stuck on pharmacology, and I studied pharmacology too, and I understand that it's important and it saves a lot of lives. But if you can grow a resilient person is less susceptible, just like if you can grow a resilient tomato plant, it'll be less susceptible to the unknowns, less susceptible to environmental factors, less susceptible to stress. It will respond better and it will grow healthier and it will yield more. And so that's what you have to think about when you're growing plants or raising little human beings is that you can't protect them from everything. I can't stand over top of my plants like this all the time. And I can't stand over my son either their whole lives. So, what you want to do is give them the skills that they need to respond to stressful events in their life. And gardening can help people do that. And through this study, they found that the people that did horticultural therapy actually were more happy with their recovery experience overall. More of them completed recovery overall. And I know that's a big thing because a lot of people are like court ordered to go to this. But these people came to appreciate the time that they spent gardening specifically. And then it's a skill. You're learning a skill too that can carry you through your whole life. Now, it might not be a high valued skill in our society, but it can be still high valued to you as an individual if it's affecting your life in a positive way.
I can I can only imagine being me myself. I'm a very compulsive addict. I make decisions very quickly, and it's because I want my next fix. And if I were to start a garden, like I'll tell one time I tried to grow my I only tried to grow weed one time, and I got an egg carton and I put a seed in each little egg thing,
Hmm.
and I watered it for like a week, and nothing happened. I got mad, I threw it, and then when it broke up there was like stems everywhere. It was because I wasn't patient enough. Like, what I'm getting at is imagine how good it must feel to like grab a flower or even a cherry tomato and eat. Like,
Yeah, it's something that you grew. It gives you back power, and I think um, in a lot of ways, I don't, I'm not personally haven't been an addict, but I have a lot of family members that are near and dear and true to me, and I love them with all my heart, and they do struggle with addiction, and part of the addiction is it's so immediate. It's right now. I feel sorry right now. I feel sad right now. I'm angry, happy, hungry. And you use because you're not familiar with delayed gratification. And when you garden and when you grow plants, there is a delayed gratification that you have to accept, and you have to learn acceptance. You have to learn that things are they're going to be things that you can't control. There's going to be bad weather. There's going to be pests like, bugs and fungus growing. There's going to be animals that eat some of your crops. It's going to happen. No matter how much you can sit here and plan the perfect garden for, 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 years, and it won't matter until you get out there and see what happens. That's when you'll know, that's when you grow too.
Wow.
You have to go to a place where you're uncomfortable is when the most growth happens, when you get to learn to be uncomfortable, and that it's not always going to be an easy peasy lemon squeezy, and like if you want a lemon, you're going to have to wait to grow that lemon. But I could show you how to grow the best tasting lemon, and anything you grow at home, even if you had a plant and it only grew 2 tomatoes, it's going to be way better than anything you would buy in the supermarket. I guarantee it. And I thought tonight maybe we could go over the we're going to do hopefully 2 episodes because it's kind of long, the 12 steps. But around 7:30 tonight is when I thought, like, how relatable is the information that I'm going to share with you? And my sister was here, and she's familiar with this 12 steps. And so I was like, well, just read them to me, And that's when I thought maybe we could go over some of them. And then, so I'm learning and you are learning. And then guys, I'll try to tell you how to.
Yeah, for our listeners, it was very cool. Just Amber really put together a really cool show tonight, and we're gonna go through as much as it's probably gonna be 2 episodes because we're gonna split this one in half tonight, but it's gonna be great. So you're in for a treat.
Yeah. So if you will read the steps off because I don't know them, and then I can tell you how. I mean, this is one thing about truths. Is that truths are relevant to the person holding them, right? And so your truth and my truth may be different, but I try to make my information and when I teach people relevant to that specific person.
Yeah, and you did that with.
Thank you.
It was really, really, really cool. I'm excited. So. Do you want me to do? I'll just read one at a time, and then we go over.
Yeah, and then I'll tell you about, or you can start or whatever, and I'll tell you how gardening I feel like helps in that step, and then maybe you could give us some real life tips. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that would be just super cool. Okay, so let me read this first step. If any of you guys are not familiar with it. It's the step 1 that people go through in most 12-step programs. This is, we admitted that we are powerless over alcohol, drugs, sex, and that our lives have become unmanageable. So we admitted we are powerless over alcohol and that our lives have become unmanageable.
Yeah, and I think if you've listened to my shows before, like you said, they are relatable to the recovery process in general. So one way that I interpreted that is like a feeling of out of control. And the way that gardening helped me is that gardening can give you, and working with plants, it could be like, I would consider somebody with house plants a gardener. You don't have to be growing fruit and vegetables to be considered a gardener. Okay, so let's get that out, number 1. And so the way that plants helped me was, it gave me a sense of empowerment. So when I couldn't walk and I couldn't talk and I really couldn't move that much, I felt like I had lost so much, and I was missing out on so much. So I got these plants and they sat on my windowsill and they were like weeds from the alley, and I put them in water, and eventually they started to grow. And then I realized there are still many things that I can do. I can't be a dental hygienist right now because of my injuries, but what can I do? And growing plants, that's when growing plants became a part of really who I am, not just something I was into. And other people in the past have done similar things like this. For example, during World War II, I don't know if many people know about this part of history because they don't talk about it in the history books so much, but they should. During World War II, there were not just concentration camps in Eastern Europe and Europe countries, there were actually concentration camps right here in the good old USA. And a lot of Japanese Americans were confined to these not so great concentration camps. Okay, it was not like staying at a hotel or something. This was not great. There were barbed wires. It was women, children, elderly, fathers, whole families, And instead of becoming belittled by the entire process, one magical thing that happened is that there were thousands of gardens sprung up behind the barbed wires. And so these people understood that there may be many things that I cannot control, right? There's so many things I could name, like we could count for days how many things you can't control.
Right.
But I like to tell people, put your hands out, right? And even if you have to start with one and count, what can you do today? There's so many things that I can't do anymore. But today I'm in charge of the way that I treat people, the way that I respond to people, the way that I raise my children, and that's kind of how gardening is. And so these people grew flowers, there were vegetable gardens, there were even rock gardens, and it gave these people a way to cultivate hope and to cultivate their culture. And so that it didn't just get lost, behind bars because it was such an oppressive environment. And I live where it snows. Literally, it snowed today. And I want to cry about it, but not that much because all my plants are in little greenhouses made out of milk jugs. but So my plants were ready. But if I had planted out a whole garden and then it snowed, I definitely would have shed a tear or two. Like seriously, I would have cried. And when I woke up today and saw it was snowing, I really thought I was dreaming. But it snows like 6 months a year here. When I talk about snow, I don't mean like an inch or two. Like it snows feet. It snowed like 4 or 5 inches last night. And I was like, April Fools, Mother Nature got me again, But, there's so many things that I couldn't do. And that's how I got into gardening was, what do I do? Like these 6 months where I can't, like, all I want to do is be outside. I just want to be outside from the time I wake up until the time I go to sleep and live in a van down by the river. But since I can't do that, what can I do? And that's when I got into houseplants. And I studied organic gardening for 6 months. So, we all have struggles. We all have struggles every day, whether you're, growing up in a war-ridden place or whether you're living in Beverly Hills, we all have struggles. And so developing healthy coping mechanisms is a way to buff the system. When people want to hold you down and gardening is a way to buck the system. And I mean, buck it hard, like you mean it, because people want to hold us down. People don't want us to like become self-sufficient, and gardening gives you a space to maintain that your own and do things with it that nobody thought was possible. And so that's how I gained a sense of empowerment through gardening. I can change my life. I can change the life of my neighbors, maybe. And if I try really hard, I can change the whole community. And, I always say like one seed at a time, one meal at a time, one child at a time, one mother, one father, one family, one community, and it goes on from there. But you start with one seed,
That's beautiful, and it makes so much sense, like how you can gain empowerment and how you the more you went on, you realized it was part of you instead of outside of yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really.
It's one thing that people can't take knowledge away from you. My injury took like the ability to speak away from me, but it did not take what I knew. Nobody can take that from me. Even if they put me in a cell somewhere, you can never ever take away the things that I learned. And learning about plants is just as good as learning about, if children can name 100 Call of Duty weapons, if children can name 100 different kinds of Nikes or Jordans or whatever they're called, then they can definitely learn 100 different plants.
Right. Yep. in such a positive light. That's right,
Thank
Annie.
you.
It's
I don't know how to
positive.
read the chat and talk at the same time. I just have not gained that skill yet, so yeah, I have to.
For step one for me, it was one of the easier steps for me, and a lot of people have some of the biggest problems with step one. And again, a lot of people can uh, they get power back from coming to programs like this, or they get some power back into their life. And for me, it it took me a little while, but the only thing that I really learned with step one is that no matter what I learn or no matter what I try, if I'm only following my own decisions, I'm going to screw it up every single time. And I can't do anything right unless I start to look outside of myself, or at least not even that, just knowing that if I do it by myself, I'm going to screw it up. That's pretty much step one to me, is admitting that I can't do it by myself,
And, you know,
whatever it may be.
together we will always be stronger than any one of us alone. You know, so when you combine the mind and the intention and the actions of a group of people, they're much more effective, they're much more efficient, and they get things done, you know, and it takes a village, it really does.
It's true. Now, how is it okay if I move on to step two?
Yeah,
Step two one?
I'm here for you, man.
Okay, step two. We came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. What does that mean to you, Amber, in the plant world?
Well, I know if y'all know who Audrey Hepburn is, probably everybody. I don't watch TV and I don't watch movies or anything, and I haven't. So basically, I lived under a rock most of my life. But Audrey Hepburn says that to plant a garden is to believe in tomorrow. And so, like you said, with your plant, it didn't grow right away, you know? And so you just didn't have enough faith, you know, that it
Yeah,
will. And
true.
through gardening and through exercises like that, it teaches you delayed gratification, and you have to have faith that it will change. And even in the darkest days of winter, even in my darkest hours of my life, you know, some of the worst times for me were not actually my injury, but how people treated me after my injury. And even in those darkest days, you have to have faith that the world is still going to turn. You know, the seasons are still going to change. And even under the darkness and the snow, feet of snow, there is still life going on all around you that you just can't see. And so, no one human person, you have to believe in a power greater than yourself when you see plants. Because when you see a flower, even, like if you take time to look at it, there's no way that a person could design something so perfect, you know, and it fills a need. Each plant fills a need in the world, and each person can also fill a need, you know, and you have to have a certain amount of faith. You have to be able to push yourself beyond your comfort zone, and you have to believe and have faith that you'll be provided for by the universe. And the more faith you have, the easier it gets. You know, the longer you do it, the easier it's going to get. The more you trust your intuition, it's like a muscle. You know, you have to grow it. And you don't just like, even if you lifted 20 pounds weight right now, my muscle would not grow automatically. Like your body has to build more cells in order to make bigger muscles. And the same is true with faith. It's a muscle. You know, it's just a spiritual muscle instead of, you know, something tangible that you can see all the time.
That is very true, Amber. And it's a spiritual muscle. Same thing with
Hmm.
if I lay in my bed, my muscles are going to atrophy, they're going to get smaller and weaker. Same thing if I don't pray, or if I don't, just me reading my book every day, that's the bare minimum, and without that, I don't know what would happen. It would be pretty bad.
I love
And
your messages. I really do. And I'm not even, you know, I've never gone through addiction, but
thank
it's
you.
it's encouraging. You know, it's encouraging to me. And so I think if people can open their mind and say, well, I'm not an addict, so I don't need that. You know, there's always more to learn. You
Yeah.
can always keep learning, you know, your entire life. Even after you graduate college is a learning experience.
Yep. I always try to apply whatever I can to my own life, or, just take what I can and leave what doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And for
Maybe
me,
you'll come
this,
back to it sometimes, you know?
yeah, exactly. And with me, the step two was coming to believe that a higher power could restore me to sanity. Is first, you have to believe, you're not sane or you're insane. But we got past that with step one. And for me, it just wasn't an issue. This might be the hardest for everyone else, but I've always been a Christian. I don't always go to church, and I don't always stand up for it and try to spread the word. But to me, there's just no question that there's a God. But of course, he wouldn't help me before that because I didn't do anything to deserve his love or his whatever. I wasn't living a good life. So all I had to do was believe that if I tried to do the right thing, maybe he'll come and he'll have my back eventually.
And you know what they say is in life, um, sometimes God, or however you relate to the creator or to the universe, you know, some feel is God, some people call them different things, some people
Hmm.
have multiple gods, but everybody has a way in which they relate to the universe. And sometimes life will tap you on the shoulder, right? And you're like, you know, and you blow it off, but that you'll keep facing that same lesson throughout your life until you learn something from that lesson. You know
I'm
what I
sure,
mean?
yeah. Yeah, if you refuse to learn, then it'll just keep coming back, right?
Yeah, that's how I feel.
And congratulations to Melody. That's so awesome. Today is
Yeah.
35 months. Heck yeah. Good stuff. Very amazing. And yeah, you covered. I love how you related that. Just exact, spot on. And I don't even garden, but that made sense to me.
You know, plants have been around for way before us. You know, the earth was covered with plants. And so if you can respect them as a life form and welcome them into your life, there's no way that you can develop a relationship with the earth and then not become a better person. It's just impossible.
So, just like in the steps, they say between step two and three, coming to believe is different than actually turning your life over, which that's step three. Step three is made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. So,
Hmm.
so you see how there's that little difference there in the program. Is there that difference there in plants? Like, how would you describe step three with the plants?
Well, there is a difference. I mean, some people are hobbyists and they collect plants, and then there's the gardeners who grow plants like for food and things like that. So everybody will relate to plants in a different way as well, you know, and things, it's kind of like a scale, you know, and so you want to have the scale even. If you just, like, if I spent all my time learning about plants, which I wouldn't say I do because I also learn about true crime. But anyways, you know, if I spent all of my time doing that and then something else in my life would be imbalanced. But step three was, like I said, I don't know if you've ever heard of seasonal affective disorder, but it's
No?
a real thing in my life. And uh, it's like, hold on one second. My phone went off. My bad. Seasonal
Okay.
affective disorder is like, in Erie, not only I've lived in other parts of the country. Okay, I used to live in North Carolina and I loved it there by the ocean and it was amazing. And now I'm here. So there, even when it was cold, the sky was blue. And so that's one of the hardest things for me here is it's just gray all the time in the summertime, in the wintertime. And it really does affect my mood. And I think it does for a lot of people, you know, and I think that gardening, like I said before, you have to have faith that the seasons are going to change, you know, and that your time is coming. There's a time for growing and there's a time for sowing and there's a time to get ready for next year's harvest. You know, there's a harvesting time. And so you have to understand that you need all this cycle in order to get to the fun part or like the sunny part, and that there's going to be days where um, it's not going to be ideal, and you have to have faith that the universe will keep going with or without you. And I think having that faith, whether you call it God or, Mother Nature or whatever you want to call it, I don't care what you call it, but having that faith that the seasons will turn again in your favor is the way that I understood it, because you have to let go. You can't control that. You cannot, that's something you cannot control. I cannot control the seasons. Darn, if
Yeah.
I could, I would, but then I would make the whole world out of balance, and plants need darkness too, just like people, and you can't appreciate light without the darkness,
Wow. Yeah. That Amber, what happened today? You're just like on a roll tonight with such good. It's like the best that I've ever seen from you. What's
Really,
going
it's the lights, maybe,
Yeah, I mean, geez. Like seriously, I'm impressed so much. And
Oh
before we
no,
go on
I
with
yeah,
any
go
more, I
ahead.
just wanted to plug you in real quick again to people who are just showing up. Amber just started her channel, Grow Baby Grow, and you guys definitely go ahead and sub to that because she's going to be coming out with some great content here soon. And if you could
Yeah,
look at her, she's already got the setup going. Looks freaking sweet.
thank you. I did this myself. Spray paint, a lot of hard work, blood, sweat,
Yeah,
and leaves.
yeah, good deal. Alrighty, yeah. So good
You want me to
stuff.
read step 4? I don't mind helping out.
Yeah, yeah. Let's do it. Yeah,
Anything for the team. Oh
yeah,
yeah, make sure you like and subscribe, leave a comment for your boy.
yeah.
He's out here. We're all standing behind him. He's got a great team of people behind him. So from the person, the front face to the back face to the behind the scenes, all the way down to supporters, we need everybody to help make it a better place. So
You're
sorry,
the
I just
best.
have to do
You
things
are
like
the
that.
best.
Um,
That's
oh
what's
yeah,
up.
hit the like. And if you don't like it, hit it down and let us know so that we can make better shows. We're here for y'all. So
Yeah,
um,
absolutely.
step 4 is make a searching and fearless moral survey of ourselves. And the way that I interpreted this is, okay, especially as a parent, or even if you don't have kids, like there's not enough hours in the day to do everything. And so taking time for yourself and for self-reflection is hard to schedule in if you don't actually put it into your schedule. Like, okay, today I'm going to do some soul searching. You know what I mean? But if every
Hmm.
day you spend some time with plants or even just observing nature and out wherever you live, whatever nature there is there to see, you can take that time and say, I'm going to devote that time to me. And it's a safe, quiet place usually. There's it's good if there's no people around. For me personally, I mean, I like to be around people, but to do my soul searching, I like to be out in nature. And you take a moment and you feel the breath going in and out of you, and you listen to the things around you, and you look and touch things around you. And if you can see from one day to the next, plants change, people change. It's can't teach all dodgy tricks. Like, don't listen to that. You know what I mean? Every day is a new day. Every day is a new chance to try again. And with plants, you will see them changing slowly, and you'll be able to say, like, gardening makes everybody a scientist. You don't have to go to school and study microbiology like I did. And you don't have to study chemistry to be able to know how to grow healthy plants. Science is saying, if I do this, then that will happen. And you can do that with your own personal life too. You can say, what worked good for me? What didn't work good for me? If some people have a God bag, like my sister had a God bag, and you just got to put things in it that you just can't control. Instead of worrying about it, write it down, throw it in your God bag. Some people write letters and put them in bottles and chuck them out into the ocean. Not great for Mother Nature, let me say.
Not good
But
for Mother Nature.
If you put it on a piece of brown paper or maybe a piece of scrap paper and you write it down and you bury it in your garden, between you and God, nobody else, it's not really for anybody else's eyes. You don't always have to share with everybody. And I think it's important, though, to recognize where you came from and where you are currently, and what can you do, what can you change in order to get where you want to be. And it's not about like an overnight black and white kind of thing. It's like little tiny steps that you can take. And each time you do an experiment with your life, just like you do an experiment with plants, or just like you did an experiment, as a little kid in school, at the end, you get to analyze, did this work for me? Does this agree with me? What would I do differently? And if you take that time in your gardening while you're pulling weeds and get your hands in the dirt, and you can think about, where has my life taken me? And where do I stand? What role did I play to get me where I am today?
Yeah, and for me, the step 4 was really tough for me because I'm a procrastinator, and like for me, step 1, 2, and 3 was as easy as this. I said, I can't, he can, I'm gonna let him, and that's like so easy to do. And then step 4 comes, and they call those the action steps, the start of the action. So I actually had to do something, and that was the hardest part for a lazy addict like me to even start. So
sometimes the most difficult part of any journey is just taking the first step. Sometimes just getting out of bed was a challenge for me, but I was determined that I'm going to get out of this bed today. If I have to throw myself on the floor, like sometimes, I couldn't walk far and I made it like a few feet, and just the fact that you get up and try again is what's important. Not exactly where you end up that day, because you're on a journey. Your life is a journey of the decisions that we make take us on this journey, and you get to decide, like, I'm going to bring other people with me. Like, okay, Nick, I'm going to take you with me, but I am on a path and I will not let anybody steer me off my path today, and I
good
think
shit.
that is a way that when you make these kind of spiritual awakenings and that you have these epiphanies, it's important that you have the will and that you develop your will like a muscle to stand by your decisions, whether they were good or bad. If they affected my mom negatively, it takes a big person to stand up and say, I was wrong. Or even if you didn't feel you were wrong, I'm sorry that I hurt you.
Yeah,
And I think that's a
completely.
really difficult thing to do, but it's necessary if you're going to keep growing. You don't want to leave like a path of destruction. And if you did, there's so many things that you can't go back and change, but today is the day to change. Today I'm going to stand up and I'm going to be a better person. Today I'm going to help my neighbor. You know what I mean? And that's how changes like that happen.
Yeah, and I know you were saying it part of admitting stuff is like really really hard, and for a lot of people, me myself, it was hard to even admitting it to myself, just even writing it down. And that's actually where the fifth one comes in, is
Mhm.
admitting to God, to another human, admitted to God, ourselves, and another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. So this involves, when you go to step 5, it's involving more than just yourself. And
Mhm.
and how do you how is that navigating when back to nature, and
Well, let's call it nature. Okay, let's just
yeah,
call it getting closer with
plants,
nature,
nature,
because
whatever. Yeah,
when you say gardening, people are like, I'm not growing any tomatoes, or I'm not going to do that, or maybe you don't have time for it, or whatever. There's so, like we talked about, all these excuses that we could make, right? All these things we
yeah,
can count
yeah.
that we can't do. But with nature, the closer you get to nature, the closer you will get to knowing yourself, and when you know yourself and you find a common ground. So the more you learn about nature, the more you'll have to talk to just random people with everywhere you walk. Human beings walk. Well, most of them walk better than I do, but human beings do walk. They're not sedentary. You're not meant to be sedentary. And so even if we try our best to avoid people, you're going to come in contact with people, unfortunately for me. But it's not unfortunate because it's also a learning opportunity. And so the more people that I talk to, the longer I've been in plants, the more I'm going to develop my social ladder, and the more I'm going to have people to connect with to build a social structure that did not exist previously. So you're going to gain new friends. You might gain new enemies, but hopefully you'll gain more friends in the process than baddies. Okay, there's going to be a few bad apples in every bunch, and there's just nothing you could do about that, But you are going to gain new people, and when you meet new people, you can talk about, like, you can start. When I go and teach kids about plants, okay, what I'm really teaching people is about life. But if I came to you and I said, I want you to change your life today, and I'm going to show you how, people are like, first of all, you're going to think that I'm weird, and I am. And it's not just because of the color of my hair. And second of all, you're not, the message is going to go past you, through you, beneath you, But when I hold a plant, I teach people about plants, but the same lessons that you learn about plants are applicable to people. And so by teaching people about plants, it's just my platform that I use to teach people about how to be better human beings. Before, I was in dentistry, and I used dental to teach people how to take better care of themselves and the people around them. And since I can't do anymore, now I use plants, And so the more people that you meet, I can say, well, what worked for you? What didn't work for you? This is what worked for me. This is what didn't work for me. And so two people, even if you don't speak the same language, can unite with plants. You don't even have to speak the same language. It doesn't even have to, they don't even have to be able to write their name in order to learn about plants. And you guys can share ideas and learn from each other still. And so that's how gardening helped me tell people, this is what happened to me. And this is why it probably happened to me. And, it's a sad story. Like, my story could be really sad and tragic to the average person, but I'm really lucky that I have a really good mindset. And so my whole life is a trajectory, you know what I mean? Instead of like being stuck moving sideways is kind of how I feel a lot, being stuck in Erie, PA, where it snows all the time. But it's up to me to focus my energy on moving up and out of my tragic life story,
Wow.
And it's through sharing with other people. And then you see, like, other people have had real tragedies in their life too.
Yeah, that's what helps me, is sharing, just talking about stuff that people don't talk about. It really, really helps me a lot.
And if we don't talk about it, then, I mean, what's wrong with society? If we have all these people together and we only talk about true crime, you know what I mean? And I know that's fine. It's just, some people, but that's bringing us all together. That's another common topic that brought us all together, and we probably would have never met if it wasn't for true crime.
Right.
You see what
Yeah.
I mean? So
I'd like to keep mine at maybe 60, 75%, but man, I love talking to people about music, life, plants. I love it. I it, because like we were saying earlier, we can apply any of this to our life, and I have I'm pretty good at applying stuff to myself, because I'm pretty selfish. I'm good at it. It's about me.
we all are.
So
Everybody is some selfish, but the higher you grow up, the higher you, well, I say grow because, I'm a gardening person, but the higher you grow up on this hierarchy of needs, the more selfless you will become, hopefully. You can be rich all day, and that still would not I mean, I was well to do. I had like several cars, I had a nice house in the suburbs, but none of that helped me when I couldn't walk or talk. You know what I mean? All the money in the world couldn't have made me speak the next day. And so I really learned what was important to me. And I really had to dig deep and decide, how am I going to choose to live my life with my different capabilities? And we all have different capabilities. We all have different experiences, and sharing them helps make the world a better place, you know?
Couldn't agree with you more. I couldn't have said it better myself. Oh, do you think we can fit one more in tonight, right? I mean, we
It's
were
up
gonna
to
do
you.
7. Yeah, we were gonna
Oh,
do 7, but let's do 6 because I want to do one more.
okay. Okay.
Um, I'll read this one. We
Okay.
after 5. We are entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character.
Ouch. Yeah. You know, that's another thing you got to have faith for.
Yeah, we
But
we were on the
okay,
same. Gosh, oof.
if you expect, first of all, it's hard to live up to expectations, to anybody's expectations. It's hard to live up to your own expectations sometimes, right? But the society puts all these expectations on us. In order to be successful, you have to, have fancy shoes, or you have to have these fancy cars, or you got to have a degree, you got to go to college, you got to get married, and like pursuing perfection only leads to frustration. And I think that's a lot with people that suffer with addiction, is that they wanted this like perfect life, and they wanted this perfect life, and you can't always have what you want, number one. And also, getting a perfect garden would not be a cool place to be. If we were all perfect gardeners, then we wouldn't have anything to teach each other or to learn from each other. And so there's
So
this mindset, it's called a growth mindset. And I kind of adopted it through practice before I knew it was a thing. And so there's a psychologist, her name was Carol, don't tell me, Dweck. And she's the one that coined this term, growth mindset. And even if you just do this one thing in gardening, it will change your entire life. So a growth mindset is saying that through my mistakes, instead of saying I am a failure because I didn't reach my goals this week or today or in my life, instead of saying that I am a failure or failed epically, I like that word. But instead of saying that, you can say that I'm learning, and each mistake, there's a lesson in each mistake that you make. If you seek it, if you don't look for it, then you're not going to find it. It might hit you on the head one day, no pun intended, but it might not. And you might go through your whole life with these blinders on, and missing all these opportunities for growth. And we are constantly learning. We're constantly learning from our consequences, from our reality that we create, and a growth mindset will help get you there. I'm not a failure. People say, oh, I'm so bad at drawing. And, drawing is not I'm okay with it. I have a lot of tattoos and I drew some of them, but that doesn't make me a great artist, and there's a lot of things that I'm not great at, but I don't have to be great at that because I'm learning. And if you're willing to learn, that's half the battle already. Half the battle is just changing the way you think. And it doesn't have to be about plants. I mean, because, I like plants, but I wouldn't force my beliefs and my things on you, but I would encourage you to develop a growth mindset and to see it. You have to trust the process. You have to expect that there's going to be ups and downs, and you are not perfect. None of us are. There is no human being, even like my hair isn't the way I wanted it. Nobody's going to be perfect all the time. And to think that way is a folly, and that will make a fool out of you and a fool out of me. And it will happen to you constantly until you learn to develop a growth mindset, and you can think about plants when you're encouraging yourself. And plants, if you learn about plants, you'll have reminders all around you. Even like all my houseplants died. I had like 150 plants, but because of no action of my own, they all perished. And it was really sad, And so then I had to again adjust my mindset. Okay, well, just looking outside then. I'm going to have to take grass as it's going to become my little plant, wherever I go. And the trees and everything can remind you a tree does not stop growing, and people shouldn't stop growing either. I love you guys too.
It is so cool that you said that, Amber. You said at the beginning, if we had perfect gardens, then there'd be nothing to share with each other, nothing to teach each other, no reason to go buy any more tools or make any tools or whatever. And that's something that I applied to this character defects thing in this step and I've heard it before. Some guy said, character defects really suck, but if I did not have any character defects, then I wouldn't need God at all. The reason I need God is because of my damn character defects. So my character defects bring me to God. So that's what I have to say about it. It pretty much is what you said. That's why I'm blown away. That was so cool how you applied that to. That was awesome. And we didn't even talk about that before. That was cool.
No, but gardening helps not just addicts. It helps people. Like I have PTSD, and it helps me. It's a coping skill. Through gardening, you will learn new healthy, coping skills that I did not have before, and gardening pushed me out of my comfort zone. And it's easy to be like, oh, poor me, oh, poor me, you know what I mean? And it's easy to stay there. It's an easy place. It's a comfortable place to live, like it's not a happy place to live, but it's much easier to sit in a place of discomfort than it is to like take your sore muscles and stand up for what you believe in, and get up and put each foot down each day and do the dirty work. And I think that's the way it is in recovery as well. I mean, I don't know, but.
No, right. You're completely right, Amber. And for those of you, again, if you're just tuning in, make the channel's right here, guys, and it's in the description as well. When are you thinking, Amber? I mean, you're kind of putting stuff together right now. I see your setup's new. Are you kind of?
Yeah, I did that last weekend.
When do you think we can expect some content from you?
Well, I just put on. Well, it's probably still uploading, but I put up my first video where I talked with CSI Crowdsource Illuminations Piper, and we talked about mental health and how gardening can help with mental health. And then today we're talking about addiction. This weekend I have like 4 or 5 episodes scripted, and I'm hoping to shoot all the footage this weekend, and then I'm hoping to do most of the like editing, which is not really my favorite part of it. But my channel is going to be not just about gardening, not just about houseplants, it's going to be about wellness. It's going to be about healthy coping mechanisms. It's going to be about how you can make the world a better place. I'm going to interview experts on plants. I'm going to go on tours, hopefully all over the country. Going to Washington this summer, going to Mount Rainier. I'm going 3,600 miles just to see the wildflowers bloom on the side of a mountain. So, I'm going to bring y'all along with me. Whether you like it or not, you're going to see lots of plants. So you might as well just take a seat and get comfortable, because I'm not going anywhere, Cool. And so I think my first episode that is not like an interview is going to be, I have a dog. I don't know if you can hear him in the background, but it's going to be about pets and plants that are safe for pets. You know what I mean? And so I'm going to have a whole series, and I have like 30 plants so far that I've looked. That's what I did all day yesterday, actually, was look up these 30 plants.
Cool. Yeah.
Great.
Well,
research,
is
you got to go through all the BS in order to get, like, I don't have a team of people helping me, So once I get my own plant team, and then I can start delegating things, then I'll probably have more fun. But right now, I know it's not going to happen overnight. And if I want things to change in my life, then I'm going to have to be the one to do it. So here I am.
Well, you're gonna see Melody and Hoppy Hoppy over there. That's gonna
Hi,
be awesome.
everybody.
Oh
Well,
yeah,
I got an Instagram. Y'all can find me on Instagram, Diary of the Crazy
yeah.
Plant Lady.
There's Instagram down there too, guys. There's
Oh,
Instagram.
okay.
I put your
And
email.
then
I'm sorry if you didn't want your contact out there. I just threw
that's
it in there.
okay.
Uh,
If you guys have any suggestions, I like constructive criticism because without somebody telling me what they think about my performance, I really cannot grow as a person and as a creator because this is all new to me. I've done Facebook Live for years, right? And so people know I'm crazy about plants and sometimes just crazy. So,
yeah,
um,
they're into it. Yeah, they love it. Good stuff.
and so I've done Facebook. So YouTube was pushing me out of my comfort zone. And I wanted to thank you for giving me an opportunity. You were part of that. You made me a mod, and I was like, I don't know what that means. I don't know what that is. And I didn't know what Discord was. I didn't know any of
Same.
those things. And now
Same.
I know that it can be a part of the change, and if you use it properly, it can be a part of a good change.
Yes. This is a damn good community, and I'm happy I found it too. We're a good
Yeah.
little
Who would have
community.
thought, right? True crime. Like, who would have thought that,
Yeah.
learning about crime, and that's what got me interested was, I wanted to be a part of the change, and I wanted to be a part of spreading awareness, even if it wasn't a true crime, producer or creator. I still got to be a part of a team that I think is going to help change the world in a good way. So here I am.
Did you put out a video? Am I getting this right? Did you upload it?
The video is one that I did with Piper on mental health series. So she showed me tonight.
I halfway missed that one because I remember I fell asleep to it. So I got to watch that in a good way.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm sure people
no judgment here.
Time. Yeah.
I sleep to lots of plant videos. So that's, that's my thing. But, that's when I have my me time. It's nighttime.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm always up all night.
Well, Amber, again, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. And I love all you guys. I do. And now you know that I hope that you could tell in our conversations that I do encourage other people. I encourage people to follow their dreams and to live their best life, whatever that means to you. And now you can kind of see some of my backstory and some of the ways that gardening and plants have helped me become a better person.
You definitely are one of the more positive, lots of good vibes and energy, and I hope we're friends for a long time.
Yeah, you don't have a choice. You'd have to ban me.
And so you guys know our next episode starts on step 7. We'll continue on step 7 for our next one, yeah?
Yep.
Okay. All right, Amber, thank you again.
Thanks,
and have a great night. See you.
All right. You have a nice night too.
Man, good episode, guys. Amber Rose, gotta love her. Gotta love Amber. Badass. And very knowledgeable when we were comparing stuff to to recovery. That was just excellent. Pretty sweet. And I already did my daily reflection for today. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to play a quick music out of here. And I'm going to go ahead and looky here at the chat and see what we got going on. And you guys have a good one. Have a good one.
Mama, who never was around, but she grew up tall and she grew up right with them Indiana boys on an Indiana night. Well, she moved down here to the the age of 18, she blew the boys away, it was more than they'd seen. I was introduced and we both started grooving. She said, I dig you, baby, but I got to keep moving on. Keep moving on.
Getting born in the state of Mississippi. Papa was a copper and the mama was a hippie. In Alabama, she was swinging a hammer. Price you gotta pay when you break the panorama. She never knew that there was anything more than gold. What in the world does your company take me for? Black bandana, sweet Louisiana, robbing on a bank in the state of